topics and opinions expressed on the following show are solely those of the hosts and their guests and not those of W4WN Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4WN Radio, its employees, or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4WN Radio.
Hello and welcome to Fearless, Fabulous You. I am your host, Melanie Young, and I'm so excited to be here today. It is November 2025. I've now been doing this show for 12 seasons, and we can be heard on 65 podcast channels. And of course, you're watching on YouTube. And my show is about highlighting inspiring women and helping you live a fearless, fabulous, inspired life on your terms, because we want to grow older and bolder at every stage and age of our lives. And I'm going to be bracing even more of that in 2026, which is going to be the year of living fearlessly and with a now or never attitude. So more on that. So fresh, fragrant, delicious, and healthy. Who doesn't love all of that in your food? Well, I do. And one of my favorite cuisines are the cuisines of the Middle Eastern area. And we're going to be talking today about Lebanese cooking. Now, I have never been to Lebanon. I hope to go sometime. I've had the great pleasure of tasting many Lebanese wines at tastings in New York when I lived there and love them. And I love the food. And we have here in New Orleans, Lebanon Cafe, one of my little favorite family-owned restaurants. But I'm really excited because we're going to talk about making these wonderful dishes here in your home. With me today is my guest, Maureen Abood. She grew up in a very large Lebanese-American family in the Midwest, specifically Michigan. She has a food blog by the same name, Maureen Abood, and two cookbooks. The first one, we'll hold up the covers. The first one is Rosewater and Orange Blossom. Okay, those are like my two favorite things. Rosewater and Orange Blossoms, fresh and classic recipes from my Lebanese kitchen. It came out a couple of years ago. And I think we're going to show that on the screen. And the second one is Lebanese Baking, more than 100 recipes for sweet and savory baked goods. And I happen to love Lebanese cookies. And there's so many interesting recipes in this baking book, which we're going to talk about, including some beverages that really stood out. But as usual, we're going to welcome our guest. Welcome Maureen Abood to Fearless, Fabulous You.
Hello.
And I want you to tell me your story. Well, I'll get my notes back up. They just disappeared on the screen. Tell me a little bit about you. You're first generation, second generation here in the United States?
Second generation Lebanese-American. My grandparents were immigrants from Lebanon to Michigan, all of them. My mother's parents emigrated to the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, and we always joke it must have been summer when they got here because they did love Michigan. They ended up going down to Ohio and establishing their businesses there. And my father's family, the Aboods, came here to Lansing, Michigan, where there's a really substantial Lebanese population.
Okay, I was wondering about that because, 50 states, you choose Michigan. It's curious.
Yes. So they came, as so many immigrant communities do, they came to where some people they had already known had come, and they were drawn by the jobs in the auto industry here in Michigan.
Okay.
And they had those jobs, but they also had other very common jobs of Lebanese immigrants. They had wholesale food and fruit, grocery stores, businesses like that. And they raised large families with their deep intention that they would have wonderful educations. And that they did. My parents, and then my parents and their siblings, many of them, all populated the world with lots of cousins that I have, all doing wonderful things in the world and all of course, quite proud of our Lebanese heritage.
Wow. I think it would be so much fun to grow up in a large family like that. I have a very small family. And, it's interesting
Oh,
when I interview a lot of people whose family immigrated over here, many of them ended up getting their businesses started in the grocery business. And eventually retail, because that was an easy way to sell to the people. You wanted to get the ingredients in to do the cooking that you're used to. So that's interesting.
yes, very much so. And I think it's also related to our the magnet of our communities, which is
Right.
our food and our table and our kitchens.
Well, I am curious. You didn't start out writing about food. You actually went to culinary school, which was kind of your turning point. Give us a little bit about your evolution into becoming a successful food writer, because it's not easy. We all know. You can write, you can be a good writer. You may not be a successful writer. So talk to me about that.
All so true. That journey is something that I treasure because of the ups and downs along the way. And I've always been a writer from a
Mhm.
young age, considered myself a writer, always loved stories, studied literature in college and a master's degree in literature.
Where did you go to
Um,
college?
I went to St. Mary's College in South Bend, Indiana.
Hmm.
And then I moved back home to East Lansing and studied literature at Michigan State.
Good school.
Really, really good school. I
Hmm.
love MSU, and taught English and worked simultaneously doing communications and marketing. And the allure of all my siblings who were in Chicago took me over there for many
Uh-huh.
years, where I was doing some freelance food writing. I wasn't really dedicating my life fully to it. I kept thinking, I want to write about Lebanese food. It's not
Hmm.
being done. At that time, it really was not, it was not showcased to the degree
Right.
that we're seeing Middle Eastern cuisines now. So I also thought, okay, I've got this cookbook that I want to write, and I want to tell the stories. And it took some true grit for me to leave my job, take that risk, that leap, that fearless leap that took me to culinary school in San Francisco, where I thought,
Mhm.
okay, I'm going to live my dreams. At that time, we had just lost my sister-in-law. She was 40.
Oh, that's young.
She was young. And
Yeah.
I got to think, some of my own turmoil too got me thinking, carpe diem.
Right.
Let's, yeah, this can happen. We can lose our lives, and or life is short. And
Mhm.
so these things got me motivated to do that. And it was the greatest move I've ever made.
Mhm.
Not knowing exactly what was going to happen
Mhm.
turned out to be okay, because I immersed myself so fully in the here and now of my experience. I loved every second of culinary school. Of course, I lived in a beautiful city of San
You were in San
Francisco.
Francisco, right? What school was
Yes,
it? What school was it?
Tante Marie's Cooking School.
Oh, it's a great school. Yeah,
Okay,
I
a
know it very well.
small school, wonderful.
Mary
Mary
Mary yeah, Mary Risley, yeah.
she was so good to me, and
Mhm.
I just learned a ton.
Mhm.
And I realized, I had been sort of polling the pros in the field to see, do I need to go to culinary school to be a cookbook author and to write the things I want to write? And everyone said, no, you really don't. And
Yeah,
then I had to face the fact that I want to go regardless, that I want to do this for me because I want to learn.
right.
And it was great. And from there, I moved back to Michigan, up north, very quiet town, where I launched my blog because I had
Mhm.
learned through my networking, through my research, how I was going to build this new path.
Right.
Did a lot of that to find out. And I knew I needed to establish a platform.
How long ago was that?
That was 20. Well, I went to culinary school in 2010, 11,
Mhm.
and excuse me, I launched my blog in
Mhm.
2012.
Okay.
So, my book came out in 2015. So I got the
Correct.
book deal in 2013.
And you need a blog and presence to get the book deal. It's important to have that all these days. If anyone's thinking about it, it's very important.
And the social media platforms that are now so essential. At that time, it was more the blogging where you could build your platform. And now, of course, you really you've got to go on so many different channels and be so multitasked. It's really too much.
It's a lot. I was recently at the Southern Smoke Symposium event here, and they were talking about Substack. Of course, Substack sponsored the Substack. So they were like, you got to be on Substack. And I'm thinking they're talking to all these people who are very busy running restaurants. Who has the time to have social media, Substack, make your food, do the pricing, hiring, etc. It's a whole thing.
Yes.
But you've done very well. And I spent some time on your site. You have a great shop.
Oh, thank you.
Ingredients. I don't have any of these ingredients. It's very hard to find them here in New Orleans. So you have for anyone who really wants to get authentic Lebanese ingredients, which we're going to talk about, MaureenAbood.com has that and some really terrific recipes. I loved both the books. I want to just talk. I know the new one is Lebanese baking, but I do want to talk about rosewater and orange blossom, which are my two favorite things. Put on the body.
So aromatic.
For people who don't, let's talk about. For people who don't know geography, let's talk about Lebanon.
Yes.
You've been.
Yes.
Let's talk about Lebanon as a country and a culture, location, what it's known for. Because right now, a lot of people are not going. It's on my list, and I'm hoping to go. I really do. So talk to me first about Lebanon itself.
Lebanon is a Mediterranean country. It's in the Levant. It is a Middle Eastern country, but it's perched on the Mediterranean Sea.
Yes.
Southern border Israel, and also bordered by Syria. Lebanon is a tiny little country, but it has always been served as a crossroads.
Yes.
In the Middle East, and as a very cosmopolitan city, Beirut holds treasures of many, many sorts, from culinary and food to fashion to, with the port there. It's an amazing city. And the country itself has, though tiny, it has many regions, and there's certainly regional cooking. And the cooking and the food is the ultimate expression of the Mediterranean diet.
Exactly.
Yes, you have such a beautiful array of the lean meats, the lean proteins, the plant proteins that provide so much protein and fiber, and the delivery of all this with fresh produce, fresh herbs, spices. All of this helps us eat deliciously and healthy at the same time.
I love the cooking there, and I think it's important. It is the Mediterranean. A lot of people don't know their geography, that so much of the Middle Eastern area lies on the Mediterranean. It's the Eastern Mediterranean. And I'm blessed because I've tasted a lot of Lebanese wines. When I lived in New York, they would come over and do big walk-arounds. It's a wonderful wine region. The wines have incredible history. There's also a French influence. What was the French influence?
Oh, thank you. Yes. Well, Lebanon was a protectorate of France for many, many years. And in that relationship, there was a great deal of influence. So many Lebanese speak Arabic, English, and French.
Right.
And then you see the influence in fashion and food. When we went to Lebanon, I was just amazed at the French cuisine that was interspersed. The croissant with the za'atar spice on it.
Ooh, yum.
So I thought, okay, this really is a fantastic way of looking at how these two cultures have melded here. And in my book, in my most recent book, in the Lebanese baking book, I really enjoyed bringing to bear some of the French influence that you see with the Lebanese baked goods.
And there's a lot of French classic technique as well. So I think it's important to understand that it's a beautiful small country with some French accents, but distinctly Mediterranean. And the food reflects that. Many people never get past hummus and the
Yes.
salads and sandwiches, and there's so much more. What is the basis in terms of the key spices and flavors and signature dishes of Lebanese? First, we'll talk about savory and then sweet.
Sure. Yes. And the hummus is a really wonderful sort of a bridge, a gateway. Get in and experience this really great food that is often eaten as a dip or as a base for a bowl, or as a condiment. But we have a wonderful style of eating that the hummus is included in this sort of start to a meal or an entire meal, the maza, the small plates of many different tastes, from salads to the baba ganoush and the hummus to the yogurt cucumber salad, pickles and olives. All of these make up the maza, and that's a fabulous, if you're ever in a restaurant and they offer an array, a maza where they fill the table with all these small plates, it's a great way to have a tasting. And that can be the whole meal.
Yeah.
But it's not. The grilled, the kebabs and the main dishes, there's fish, there are kebabs, there's the kibbe, which is the national dish of Lebanon, is this. We eat it raw, but it's got many iterations. So that's not the only way we eat kibbe, which traditionally would be very lean ground lamb or beef, mixed with softened fine bulgur, some pureed onion, and then the spices. And that can vary from family to family, but you have this 7-spice or baharat blend, which is sort of like the embodiment of Arabic flavor, Arabic food flavor. When you smell the spice, you go, oh, that smells like Middle Eastern food. So that spice is important.
So what's the spice again? Which one is it?
7-spice.
It's called 7-spice because I know za'atar, so it's 7 spice. What are in the 7 spices?
Or baharat. Well, it's not always just 7. It's a real combination, but often including paprika and cumin and cardamom and coriander, all kinds of spices that make a blend that is really, really fragrant. But you mentioned the za'atar spice, which I think is coming to be pretty well known as a Middle Eastern spice blend.
Yeah.
People will often say za'atar, but it's za'atar spice.
Okay.
The za'atar has 3 things: dried wild thyme or oregano, but most typically you see thyme, although I was asking a group the other night if they knew the ingredients, and several people said oregano. Sumac, which is another very typical spice. It's bright in color. It looks a little bit like paprika, but it's more citrusy in flavor. It has a very bright tang to it. It's really, really good. Sometimes it's used as a replacement for lemon juice in a recipe where you don't want the liquid, but you want the flavor.
Right.
So, and then sesame seeds. That's the za'atar blend. And the za'atar is often spread on top of a flatbread. And this za'atar bread, manushi, is folded up with maybe vegetables, tomatoes, cucumbers, labni, which is the thickened yogurt, in it and wrapped. And that's a Lebanese breakfast.
Oh, that's the way I like to eat. I like more savory breakfast. So that just sounds delicious.
You would love Lebanese breakfast.
Yes.
Well, that recipe is in the Lebanese baking book. And I love the manaish recipe because
I'm going to hold the book up.
It breaks it down.
Yeah. Our file didn't upload. It was in the wrong format. So here it is, Lebanese baking.
Yes.
There you go. It's available out.
Yeah. The manaish recipe, it makes 4 8-inch flatbreads, which to me makes it a very manageable recipe to go ahead and tackle if you haven't made it before. And if you have made it before, you'll find that the recipe works really, really well for this soft foldable bread.
And I want to underscore the baking is savory and sweet, and there's also some beverages in there. I love the fact that you had a recipe for pita, because store-bought pita is gross for me.
Thank you for saying it. In many places, it's terrible. It's not good, and it doesn't shine a light on the beauty that is pita bread. And we have many restaurants here because there's such a large Arab American population in Detroit area, especially, but where they make good pita. But homemade is so much fun. It's really a lot of fun. You need to make sure you have a super hot baking element in your oven. You can use a pizza stone. I have in desperate times used an overturned sheet pan, but the best thing is a baking steel that you place on your bottom rack. This thing holds so much heat, and you need that heat for this rolled piece of dough to puff up and for that magic to happen, the pita magic to happen.
Yeah. It's all about the puff. And you don't get the puff in the store-bought. It's like pomme souffle. When you come to New Orleans, you have pomme souffle, you want the puff, not the flat. It's just a completely different thing. I mean, I love the breads. I'm a savory girl, so I was like perusing the breads, and of course I mentioned before the show my husband David bakes. So I'm like, okay, you're making this next.
You earmarked his tasks.
Yeah,
well, he's gonna have fun with it then.
But what are some savory pastries? And are there certain times the Lebanese breakfast tends to be more savory, but are there sweets that you have at certain times of the day that are traditional?
Yes. And that savory breakfast can include some sweet things, but it isn't typical. And then, to have a sweet breakfast, but the sweets, it's interesting because when you look at them closely, you think, okay, wow, some of this it's rich. We have lots of butter involved and clarified.
I was going to ask you about that. Is it butter, olive oil, Mediterranean? I think olive oil, but then French butter.
Yes. Well, with our baking, we do use clarified butter or ghee, and it's one of these things where you go all in to make the best of these cookies that like the cover, this matmoul cookie. This is a shortbread cookie that's made with butter, and yet we don't eat so much of it that we're going to make the kinds of substitutions that you would make if you're on a really strict diet. When you're going to have the sweet, have it the way it's meant to be, unless you have a restriction, of course, then there are options. But to have a cookie, a little cookie with a cup of coffee in the afternoon, or when someone comes to visit, this is a very traditional thing. Much of it is had when you're feasting, when you have a special occasion. Because normally day to day, it'd be more like having some fruit after a meal in the evening. But like, I have such a sweet tooth. You have the savory. I love it all, but I do have a sweet tooth. So I'm sort of like throwing off my the way the Lebanese eat most of the time with the fruit as they're sweet. I love to have a little cookie or something. And these things freeze so well that you can make them and pull them out. And, there are other just
recipes, divine
savory items here. And one that I want to point out to you is, since you love the pita bread, is the arayas. And that is is made. It's the pita bread cut in half and then filled with a seasoned ground lamb mixture, kind of like a kafta mixture. And it's got all kinds of really mouth-watering seasonings in it, pressed into the pita bread that's cut in half, and it's raw. And then you're going to sear it in a little bit of olive oil in a saute pan until it gets nice and golden and crisp, and flip it over and do the same thing. And the meat cooks through and becomes very juicy. Dip that bite into some yogurt dip, and you'll be coming back.
Oh, it just sounds different. David's making homemade yogurt now, and I showed him your recipe
Is
in here
he?
because that's yeah. Because we're trying, like many people. Hello, everybody. We're all trying to save money, need healthy, and
Yes.
prices of things. So we're looking at things we spend a lot of money on every day, which we're going to talk about. And one of them is yogurt. A lot is bread, and he's making it at home, and it tastes better. He's going to work on ricotta. We're debating ricotta cottage cheese next because that's a big one. So what are some examples of some recipes where people may be spending a lot of money buying it, that they can make at home just as easily and better, that you would recommend?
Oh yeah, the yogurt's a big one. That's a great one. And it does taste better because you can control, we eat the yogurt savory most of the time
Me
in
too.
Lebanese cuisine. Okay, so you want it to have a little more complex flavor. Some of the plain yogurts that you buy, they just lack luster. They don't have a lot going on. And then you can drain that for the labni, which becomes like a spread, like Greek yogurt. And that's a fabulous practice, almost like keeping a sourdough.
Right.
You use something from the prior batch, you use a starter. Other things you can make that I think are far better and more economically made homemade. One of them would be the hummus.
Yeah.
That,
Let's talk about that.
It's so easy to make, and you don't run the risk of having all these additives. And it becomes almost like a processed food when you're buying these giant commercially made products like that.
Right.
The one thing that can take a little time to make a really nice, creamy, smooth homemade hummus is getting the chickpea has a little skin on it. You want to get that off. It takes a little doing, right?
I have a little term for that, which we won't talk about on air, but David lets me do it. He says you can circumcise the chickpeas. I just sit there. I'll be honest with you. Rita Jamay, my good friend Rita Jamay, taught me this. She has Lebanese background. La Caravelle Champagne is her wonderful champagne. She used to own La Caravelle restaurant. So her family comes from Lebanon. And I'm sitting here, we're having hummus. She goes, this isn't good. It's not silky because they didn't peel the chickpeas. And I went, what? And so I'm obsessed. So for anyone out there, it is time consuming, but it's almost like playing online mahjong or something with your hand. You can sit there watching TV and peel the chickpeas.
Yes, it's basically just like rubbing them to get in some water to get the skins off. And that's using a canned or a cooked chickpea as opposed to a dry. And I happen to source this amazing chickpea that has the skin already off. And I sell that in my shop. Those are incredible. Those are fun and nice to have, but you don't have to have those. You can remove them yourself. And then you'll see the difference. You'll see the difference in your hummus between
it makes it so good. We actually have some raw chickpeas from Italy that we need to figure out what to do with because we've just had them from a can, but they're raw. So we got to figure out how to cook them. David, I don't think it's that hard.
No.
And then peel them, right?
Yes. Oh, beautiful. That's really nice. So those are some things. And then I would say absolutely the bread. I think most of us are not eating as much bread as we may have at other times in our lives. So we're more aware of what's in it, the refined ingredients. But when you make your own bread, it's so satisfying. Number one, you can pick your ingredients and you will enjoy that bread, for a day or two and be done, as opposed to having a loaf from a plastic bag that lasts forever. Why? It shouldn't. On your counter. And just realizing that this practice of baking breads can be a really, really nice addition to how you cook for yourself and bake for yourself.
It's also great gifting. That's what we're going to be doing this holiday. David is going to be baking bread, and he's looking at apple cake. I'm doing homemade granola because it's easy for me to assemble. Which brings me to dates, one of my favorite dried fruits. A lot of dates. Let's talk about dates and Lebanese cooking.
The dates are prized in Lebanese cooking and throughout the Middle East, the medjool date and many other kinds of dates. These are chewy, they should be chewy, soft, caramel-like in their flavor, brown sugary. These are the flavors that come to mind when you
So
eat a
good
date.
sweeteners. Yeah, good sweeteners if you don't want to use white sugar.
Really good sweeteners, yes, because they carry with them, nutritional value. And we use the date. The date alone is wonderful. You can buy them pitted, or you can very easily just pull it open and pull the pit out and replace the pit with almonds or your favorite nut, and saute it in just a tiny drop of olive oil and serve it warm, dusted with lime or lemon zest and a little salt. This is amazing.
Here's the picture. It's from rosewater and orange. Well, not a great photo, but it's here. It looks easy. I picked up Rosewater and Orange Blossoms, your first book. Let me get it up on the screen because we couldn't get it on the screen. I picked up the library. Support your local libraries. And I'm going to try to make these warm dates with almonds and lime zest. I did an article on dates and learned that they're very popular to eat when you break at the end of a Ramadan fast day. You break fast with dates. Very symbolic.
Yes, Muslims do that, and the Christians. My family is Lebanese Christian, and we use dates, for celebratory times too. And they make a wonderful filling for all kinds of things. And in Lebanese baking, we have date fillings for some of the breads, which are also beautiful gift breads. And I'm so glad you mentioned gifting, because baking and gifting, or making of anything and gifting, is really just about the best thing you can do for yourself and for the people you give to. There's a date ring that is in like every old cookbook, Lebanese and Middle Eastern cookbook I have. And I thought, okay, this is not something that my mom made or even my Sito, my grandmother made, but I thought this has to be in the book because it's everywhere. And I loved developing the recipe for that. The date filling, you can make that paste just by pulverizing pitted dates in the food processor, or you can cook them down with a little bit of water and butter, and they become a paste that's spreadable on top of a dough, like a brioche style dough that has eggs in it and butter, and roll it up. And then you bring it together and it forms a ring, like a wreath would be very pretty at the holidays.
Yeah.
And just, it's a beautiful thing. The dates are all over the place.
Well, let's talk about two of my favorite flavors, Rosewater and Orange Blossoms, which is the name of your first book, but you've got them incorporated into baking. I have my page is open to Orange Blossom Madeleines, but you also have some liquid with Orange Blossom in it. And I just fell over because those are when I was going through breast cancer treatment, Orange Blossom and Rosewater were my scent that I could tolerate.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because I couldn't tolerate a lot, but those are my calming me, and those are my nausea smells. So for me, that's
amazing.
Like a smell for me, those two. Yeah.
That's so neat. Well, they really are special. They're so fragrant, so aromatic. I don't do a demo that I don't pull out a bottle of each and pass it around the room so that we can enter in, and that scent, because the scent is so important to our baking and cooking experiences.
Yes.
They're so evocative of memories. When I make homemade baklava, the Lebanese bitlewa with the orange blossom syrup that goes over the top, I'm like, here's my mother again with me. I don't make it without thinking of her. And it makes me want to keep making it because I want to keep her with me, and I want to keep remembering.
Well, I have to laugh about that because my mother, baklava, which you start out with, one of the first recipes in your Lebanese baking, and I had to laugh because my mother she tackled baklava. She hated to cook, loved to bake, and I was with her side by side as a young girl trying to help her get through the process of making baklava.
Oh, no kidding! And she did it, huh?
Finally, she was so proud of herself.
That's amazing. Most of the bitlewa that I make and most of us make, we use the phyllo that we can buy that's frozen, and it's fabulous. I love that because of its texture and for all the reasons. But I wanted to include homemade phyllo dough because I really wanted to understand this recipe that our elders had to make if they wanted to have the pastry. And I came to just so admire and appreciate their fearless, fabulous selves for mastering these
it's a process.
recipes.
But it's such a wonderful homemade baklava. So fantastic when you can get it. I'm curious, you talked about your mother and baking, but you did a meal in memory of your father. I think that was a very significant scenario. Talk to me about that, because I think it was like your transformation into diving into the food world more. So tell me about that.
Well, there came a point in time where I started to realize the ways of the Lebanese that I wanted to I wasn't just part of it now. I could see it and think, I'd like to express this to the world. And when my father was sick, he had a very compressed cancer and pancreatic cancer, and he passed away we weren't expecting, and he was gone like that.
And it can go fast.
Oh my gosh. Our community was, of course, he was a force in our community and beloved. They came out and just showered us with love, and that love in the form of food was like, just an incredible thing that I couldn't help but keep thinking about how this is an important expression. And I know it's not unique to our Lebanese community, but when there's trouble, just as when there's joy, you want to do something to express your love. And that was the making and sharing of food that we experienced at that time. And it took me a couple of years to fully flesh out that piece of writing that I ended up placing in the Washington Post. But it was a wonderful experience for me, because I just sat down and started writing, and then as I worked through it, I was able to come to realize what all this really meant. And that set me on my trajectory of food writing.
I think that's such a great story, because everybody goes into it. Some it's, memories growing up with cooking with mom, but the father one was so special to me, because I was very close to my father. He didn't cook at all. He, was a great guy, but food was not his thing other than wine. So wine. So for me, my journey into becoming a certified wine professional, a wine expert, came through my father, because he was a wine educator. That was our bond. Neat. But I guess it's the bond is there. But I do like to bake. David always teases me. He said, that's the one thing you got from your mother besides your bossy personality. And I do like to bake. And there's some terrific recipes in here. We're not going away. We just canceled our Thanksgiving's coming up, even though this is an evergreen show. This is actually a week before Thanksgiving. We're airing this show live. And so we're staying put, because I had to cancel my travel due to some recent surgery. But I'm kind of excited, because I love New Orleans, and we're going to cook, and we're going to try different recipes and do really fun things and start hosting dinner parties. And I think it'd be so much fun to have a Lebanese themed dinner party. What does Thanksgiving look like around your table?
Oh, well, I'm happy for you. And you've got some you've got some exciting things ahead then, because making dinner parties is a ton of fun.
We love it.
If you do it smartly, with a good plan. But the Lebanese at Thanksgiving is a big thing in the Lebanese community. And then in my community, which extends way beyond just Lebanese people and Lebanese-Americans, it's having these flavors that people love and want to try and want to add to their traditional feast. So we have a rice dish, hashwi rice, that is very traditional at Thanksgiving. The hashwi is ground beef or lamb cooked, and then you add your rice, you add chicken stock, or you could use turkey stock, and cook this, adding on top toasted pine nuts, and then pieces of chicken or turkey are placed on top. It's like it's a pilaf that's chock full of all these good things. And I know some people actually stuff the hashwi means stuffing, into the turkey.
Wow.
Or into the chicken. That's not how we've ever done it. We've always made it stovetop. It's a simple dish, but boy, is it delicious. It's our comfort food and our feast food, both. Delicious.
Oh, it sounds great.
We'll have a full Lebanese spread and a full American turkey spread all on our buffet.
Wow, that sounds like a lot of fun. We'll come to your house.
Yes, come on. The grape leaf rolls are also traditional for Thanksgiving. And the breads, of course. I've been feverishly baking and freezing breads for Thanksgiving too.
Well, this is our first Thanksgiving in 2 years where we're not in Hawaii, where we usually have poke and more poke.
Oh, yeah.
So we're guesting, and and then we're going to cook some stuff on our own and probably do our own separate. Like, I like doing leftovers another day, but we're going to just have fun cooking and just make it, a holiday in a new way here in New Orleans, which is a great place. And like I said, there's Lebanon Cafe, and it's a terrific little restaurant, family owned, over on, I think it's Carrollton Street. We just passed it the other day when we did the Po' Boy Fest, but they do a lovely job. And I'm excited. I've got to find ingredients. Of course, Maureen Abood has ingredients, but I need to, try to see what other ingredients we can find here in New Orleans. I wish they had a really good Middle Eastern shop. I'm going to ask some of the chefs I know to see where they shop.
That's a good idea. And this is what really inspired me to launch my shop is around the country. I was hearing this, I can't find these ingredients. What do you use? What's the best one? And another one you could consider, Melanie, for Thanksgiving is the fattoush salad.
Oh, yes.
Fattoush is just, it's crave worthy. Uses pomegranate molasses in the vinaigrette, a little bit of garlic, and of course, pita chips are showered over the salad. And
that sounds divine.
Makes it so good.
Well, we've been told we're going to a non-traditional Thanksgiving, which I'm wondering what that's going to be.
Will there be turkey?
I don't know. David comes from a New England family that they're like turkey. We've been eating poke for 2 years in Hawaii. I don't know what to expect, but I always volunteer to make the salad because I like vegetables. I like the sides. I'm a side girl. So a fattoush sounds like a great idea because I'm sick of lettuce. I want something different.
Yeah.
I want some other textures, and I like textural salad. So that sounds like a great idea.
Oh, it's so good. You would love it. I have another recipe that is like a village salad with 0 lettuce, but it also includes, so it's cucumber, tomato, and diced apple. Really, really good.
I think I may have all those ingredients here because we finally found some edible apples down here. We lived in apple country in New York State, so coming down to not apple country has been interesting to finally get apples here that we can eat. But you make do with what you can locally. Is there one dish in the little time we have that you feel, or 1 or 2 dishes that you feel are the embodiment of what you think everybody should? I hate it when people typecast cuisines and countries, right? And some people may have thought, it sounds like Greek cooking. When you Google Lebanese, sometimes it's mixed in with Greek. They're completely different countries, completely different locations. What do you want my listeners and followers and whatnot to visualize and conjure up in their head, flavor wise and dish wise, that would be quintessential dishes you should try, whether you're dining in or cooking in?
For Lebanese cuisine, you think of herbs, fresh herbs, which add so much flavor to anything you cook. You find so much fresh mint in all kinds of Lebanese salads and wraps and other dishes. I would say that the mint is really, really key, fresh and dried mint. And the tabbouleh salad, for example, that includes the bulgur wheat. And from the sweet side, I would love for them to know that they can bake a pan of the Lebanese bitlewa, baklava, Lebanese style, and that they can do it fairly simply with my recipe. You get this is something that is very, very special but yet very doable when you break it down and you look through it and you say, okay, you could actually bake this and share it and feel so good about sharing something Lebanese with your friends.
Yeah. And this is food that you can easily share. It's great gifting as well, because a lot of people don't think to make it themselves. And it's as I started with the show, it's very fresh and flavorful and healthy, and just brings up just a lightness. When you eat the food, you don't feel weighed down afterward,
Yes.
which I like.
Great point. It's so true.
Well, I hope I can get to Lebanon one day. The Bekaa Valley's calling me for the wines.
You must. It's beautiful there. It's a gorgeous wine country. And their wines and olive oils, you'd probably really appreciate an olive oil tasting as well.
Yes. Well, when we travel for wine, we buy olive oil. That's what we bring back. We don't bring back wine. We bring back olive oil, because usually they go hand in hand for many of the countries we visit.
Oh, yes.
But,
how special. I hope you get there too. And I hope I get back soon too.
Well, let's just all hope, because it's such an incredible heritage. It's on my bucket list. But in the meantime, I'm excited to be trying recipes. Again, I'll hold up since I couldn't get the photo to work. Where is it? There we go. It's sort of there. Well, anyway, the book is Rosewater and Orange Blossom, and then Lebanese baking. Great. Thank you. You can find them anywhere, but you can also go to Maureen Abood, Abood, by the way, to learn more, get great recipes, and buy some products. So I want to thank you for sharing your time with me and your incredible stories and flavors.
Oh, Melanie, thank you so much. What fun talking Lebanese cuisine with you.
Just really great. So everybody out there, step outside your comfort zone and go try some new flavors and cuisines and dishes, because it's all about, even if you can't get there to Lebanon yet, you can have a trip in your own kitchen and dining room table with a great little Lebanese banquet with friends, which we're going to try to do this holiday season. So thank you again. You've been listening to Fearless, Fabulous You with Melanie Young. You can find this show and all my shows on demand anytime on more than 65 podcast channels, including iHeart, Spotify, and Amazon Audio. And you'll see the show on my YouTube at Melanie Young, and you're watching on Talk 4 Radio and Network, also on YouTube. So share it, care it. And always, as I like to end my show, you have choices in life on how you want to live at every age and stage, and you can make changes and do something different from what you were doing 10 or 15 years ago, like we have. And always choose to live life on your terms and not the terms of anyone else. And always choose fearless and fabulous, and never say never. That's my theme for 2026. Thank you.
Thanks, Melanie.